Welcome to today's podcast of Everyone Has the Freedom to Choose. This is Deb King. Join us for today's Cornerstone Conversation, the fixer's journey to wisdom. When helping hurts, the wisdom to stop being the fixer. How many fixers are there in the world? We know who we are. We see a problem and instinctively move toward it. We hear tension in someone's voice, notice confusion in a conversation, sense the heaviness in a room, and before anyone has asked us to step in, we are already reaching for a solution. We are quick to advise, quick to rescue, quick to arrange, quick to smooth over, quick to make the hard thing disappear. Most of the time, our intentions are good. We are not trying to control, diminish, or rob anyone of their journey. We simply see pain and want to ease it. We see conflict and want peace. We see struggle and want relief. Yet, if we are honest, the outcome is not always what we hoped for. Sometimes the very help we offer becomes the very thing that hinders growth. I say this with humility because I recognize the fixer in myself more often than I would like to admit. I am growing, but I am not all the way there yet. Some days I still rush in too quickly. Some days I still assume I know what is needed before I have listened long enough. Some days I still mistake urgency for wisdom. And I am learning that I am not alone. I speak with many people each week, and I hear the same pattern in different voices, homes, ministries, friendships, and workplaces. I would like to say, this is only something parents do, but that would not be true. Certainly parents can fall into the trap of fixing, especially when we watch our children wrestle with consequences, disappointment, or difficult choices. But this tendency reaches far beyond parenting. It shows up in marriages, leadership, business, ministry, friendships, and even casual conversations. We step in because we care, but caring and fixing are not always the same thing. There are many outcomes when we take on the role of fixer. Some are good. There are moments when intervention is necessary, timely, and wise. There are situations in which silence would be neglect and inaction would be harmful. But there are also many moments when our fixing does more harm than good. Sometimes the fix stops personal growth. A person may be facing a tense, sticky, even downright gnarly situation because of an enemy's attack, another person's choice, or their own decisions. The situation may be uncomfortable, complicated, and full of challenging consequences. But it may also be the very place where God intends to strengthen them. It may be the place where endurance is developed, wisdom is formed, character is refined, and faith becomes more than a word spoken in comfort. When we rush in to remove the hardship, we may remove the lesson with it. We may make the problem go away, but the person does not gain the spiritual muscle to seek God, wrestle through the process, make a courageous decision, or discover the passion required to find a solution. They may feel temporarily relieved, but they are not necessarily transformed. Rescue can look like love in the moment, but if it keeps someone dependent, passive, or unprepared, it may not be love in its highest form. Then there are the times we make matters worse because we do not know all the facts. This is one of the great dangers of fixing. We often hear one side of a story, feel compassion, and begin offering solutions before we understand the full picture. But people are complex. Circumstances are layered. Emotions can color memory. Pain can narrow perspective. What appears obvious at first may become very different once wisdom has had time to gather truth. Often the person speaking to us has not asked us to solve anything. They may simply need a safe place to process. They may need a sounding board, someone patient enough to listen while they sort through their thoughts. They may not need our conclusions. They may need our presence. They may not need a rescue plan. They may need room to hear themselves think and space to hear God speak. Listening is not inactivity. Sometimes listening is holy restraint. There is another side as well. Some people do not want to do the hard work. They want someone else to step in, carry the weight, solve the problem, and then allow them to enjoy the outcome. They may want the benefit without the battle, the fruit without the pruning, the success without the discipline. And if we are fixers, we can become easy targets for that kind of dependency. But when we do the work someone else is called to do, we do not truly help them. In the end, they lose. They may gain temporary relief or even temporary praise, but they miss the growth that comes from obedience, diligence, humility, and perseverance. They do not learn what it takes to succeed because someone else has carried the cost for them. This is why we need wisdom. The Bible gives us direction. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. The New International Version says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." This instruction is not only for the person we are trying to help, it is for us. We need the wisdom to know when to step in and when to step back. We need discernment to know when to speak and when to be silent. We need humility to understand that our perspective is limited. We need courage to help when God calls us to help, and restraint to wait when God has not released us to move. Fixers often lean on their own understanding. We see a need, assess it quickly, and respond from habit. But God calls us to acknowledge him in all our ways, not some of them, not only the dramatic ones, not only the decisions that feel too large for us. All our ways include conversation, advice, intervention, rescue, silence, and pray. Solomon understood this. When God offered him anything he desired, Solomon did not ask first for wealth, power, fame, or victory. He asked for wisdom to lead God's people. Solomon recognized that human ability was not enough. He knew the responsibility before him required something greater than intelligence, strategy, or influence. He needed wisdom from God. Solomon later wrote Proverbs chapter 2, verses 1 through 6. The New International Version reminds us that wisdom is something we must seek. We are told to accept God's words, store up his commands, turn our ears toward wisdom, apply our hearts to understanding, call out for insight and search for it as hidden treasure. Then we will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Wisdom does not simply fall into our laps. It is not found by absorbing the noise of the world or collecting opinions from every direction. Many brilliant people have knowledge. Many gifted people have insight. Many experienced people have understanding. But the wisdom that brings life, peace, mercy, and righteousness comes from God. James, the half-brother of Jesus and a leader in the early church, tells us what heavenly wisdom looks like. James chapter 3, verses 17 through 18. The New International Version says, "But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere." That description gives us a beautiful test for our help. Is my response pure, or is it tangled with control? Is it peace-loving, or am I trying to force calm because conflict makes me uncomfortable? Is it considerate, or am I assuming I know best? Is it full of mercy, or am I irritated that this person has not done what I think they should do? Is it impartial and sincere, or do I have an agenda? Heavenly wisdom does not make us passive. It makes us discerning. It teaches us that love is not always a rescue. Sometimes love advocates. Sometimes love empowers. Sometimes love supports quietly. Sometimes love advises, but only after being invited. Sometimes love prays with someone and trusts God to do what only he can do. Jesus gave us the foundation for everything. Matthew chapter 22, verses 36 through 40. The New International Version tells us that the greatest commandment is to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind. The second is like it, to love our neighbor as ourselves. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. If we are to love God fully and love people rightly, we will need wisdom. We will need understanding. We will need discernment, clarity, mercy, and peace. Perhaps the goal is not to become better fixers. Perhaps the goal is to stop being fixers at all. Maybe God is calling us to become advocates, encouragers, supporters, wise counselors when asked, and faithful prayer partners. Maybe he is teaching us to bring his wisdom into the situation instead of our urgency. Maybe He is reminding us that He loves the people we are trying to help even more than we do. First, we go to God. We go to His Word. We learn of Him. And there, in His presence, we find the wisdom to know when to help, when to listen, when to speak, when to wait, and when to trust Him enough not to fix what He is still forming. Thanks for listening and being a part of our conversation. If this message meets you where you are today, share it with others who may need the same reminder. For more encouragement and resources, visit my website at everyonehasthefreedomtochoose.com.